Hey there! Welcome back to my kitchen for part 2 of declutter and organizing. In today's video, I'm going to finish decluttering my top cabinets and organizing the rest of my kitchen. If you caught part 1, you know that we tackled the lower cabinets and got rid of so much stuff. I walked you through my process on how I decide to get rid of items. Think Marie Kondo, but more practical. By the end of this video, my kitchen is going to feel so much more efficient and less cluttered, like a breath of fresh air, and I'm hoping it'll inspire you to tackle yours too. So let's be real, decluttering is not just about tossing stuff, it's about creating a space that actually works for you. I used to think that organizing meant buying a bunch of cute bins, putting stuff in it, and calling it a day. But here's a really interesting fact. Organization isn't just about aesthetics, it's about systems that make your life easier. Did you know that studies show a well-organized space can reduce stress and even save you time? Like up to an hour a day of time. That's an hour I could spend with my family, doing my hobbies, or, actually cooking in my kitchen. True organization means every item has a purpose and a place, so you're not digging through chaos to find your favorite coffee mug. So let's start a feed in the comments and tell me what you would do with an extra hour in the day. In part 1, I cleared out so much junk and set up systems for the lower cabinets that have already made my life so much easier. Today, I want to build on that momentum. I'm going to show you how I decide what stays and what goes in those top cabinets. Plus, I want to share some super simple organization hacks to keep everything functional and tidy. So whether you're a decluttering pro or you're just getting started out like me, I promise that there's something here for you. And don't worry if your kitchen's a hot mess right now, because mine was too. So this is a judgment-free zone. Alright, so here's the plan. I'll sort through all this stuff, keeping only what I actually use and then organizing it so that I can find everything without going through a treasure hunt. I'll also share how I'm setting up the rest of the kitchen, my pantry, my drawers, you name it, to make cooking and cleaning less of a chore. Plus, I've got a couple of budget-friendly tips to make your space work smarter, not harder. And who wouldn't love that, right? By the way, my name's Megan, and if you haven't met me before, hi, hello, and welcome to my channel. I am a working mom of 2 little ones, ages 8 and 6. I'm married to my high school sweetheart, and I just enjoy making videos. My goal here for my channel is to share real-life transformations, rather that be organizing on a serious budget, cleaning like a weekend warrior, because when else am I going to do it, or trying my best to eat and live a healthier lifestyle. So stick with me for the next 20 minutes as we transform this kitchen from cluttered to calm. I cannot wait to show you the final results. If you're loving this series, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Tell me what your kitchen struggles are or what you're hoping to declutter next, and let's do it together. So, alright, that's enough chit chat. Let's go ahead and get started. This is the bag of trash so far. This is pretty much filled with paper, tools that I don't think are good to donate. Either they're just too cheap or broken or too stained, where I don't think it would be fair to give to anybody else. So I still have quite a bit to throw away, I know, in my upper cabinets in my pantry, so I'm keeping that here for now. And this is the tote that I am donating. And so it's quite large, quite full. I'm definitely gonna need help loading it. I have this glass pan. It's a cake stand. I got it for our wedding anniversary, but I'm just never gonna use it. These are some more glass objects that I'm going to donate, and I'm on the fence with this one. I bought this a long time ago when I started doing keto. I don't really use it, but it's just so cute. So I'll probably get rid of it because I have a new waffle maker, but it's over here for now. What I think about it. Okay, here is what I have left of the items I need to put away. I have my KitchenAid, my Vitamix mixer, my food processor, KitchenAid, my waffle maker, and my skillet. These are what's left, and I need to find a home for them, and I'm thinking the pantry. I also have these 2 bins right here that I've had. I went ahead and wrote what tools go in there. I thought these would be great to store the tools for my food processor and my KitchenAid, as well as the plug for my skillet or my griddle. So I'm going to go ahead and use those and see what I could do. So when I sat down to think about how I'm going to utilize my space in my kitchen, one of the things that I kind of struggled with in the beginning was my pantry. My pantry is double-sided cabinets, tall cabinets that are really, really deep. And I have a lot of empty space, mainly because they're deep. I don't like putting things all the way to the back because then I forget about them and I don't use them. But also, I just don't buy enough pantry items to fill up the space. We try to buy a lot of fresh produce or refrigeration items that don't require shelf space. So I thought this space behind me, which is my countertop, this is where I do most of my cooking and prepping. So if I'm using my KitchenAid, it's right here. If I'm using my griddle, it's right here. Everything that's not stovetop, I cook right here. So it only made sense for me to house my items right here in my pantry so that it's easy for me to just reach in, grab what I need, and place it right here. And what's really convenient about this spot is I have this plug down here that I can plug things in at. So that's another reason why I always use this space. So what I'm going to try to do is configure this space so that I can house all of the rest of my tools in this one area and move all of my pantry items over to the left-hand side. I think that's going to be a much more efficient use of my space in my kitchen and pantry, as well as working time as well. I'm not having to bend down deep and pull something up like I was doing with my KitchenAid, or having to fight multiple tools to pull out my griddle, again, as I was doing. So I'm going to go ahead and try to configure how I want things and move everything over in my pantry and let you know how it goes. So what I've started with doing is I put my griddle and my waffle maker down at the bottom. Those are kind of the lighter items that I have that I use more frequently. This food processor was given to me by my mother-in-law, and I appreciate it. I like it, but I need to learn how to use it. So for the sake of the fact that I want it, but I don't use it often, I'm going to put this in first in the back because convenience. And then if it fits, I'm going to try to see if my KitchenAid will fit in front of it because this is so heavy and it's kind of bulky and hard to move. I want that to be in front and not high and not too low. Ergonomics. That's important to also consider when moving things around. So we'll see if that fits. All right, so it fits, which is great. I decided to put it horizontal instead of vertically in, only because weight distribution on the shelf, I mean, these things are only kept in with these plastic little tabs. So I want to be mindful of the weight, but also when I go to grab it, I often grab it like this. So it's just easier for me to do that. So I think that's how I'm going to keep that. I do have these buckets that I just had on hand. They're Dollar Tree. And so I thought that it would be great to put my tools in here. So I wrote on them so I know which tools are which. But I'm trying to think of, they're not going to fit in with the actual items itself. If I had an extra shelf to put onto it so that I could stack it, they would fit, but I don't. Actually, let's see here. This is the food processor tools. I could probably fit it if I'm going to fit this here. I could probably fit the food processor tools back here. Let's see. Oh no, there's no way that will fit. Never mind. Okay, so I'll put this back right here. So the next option that I have is up top. But, oh, can't forget my bowl. That looks good. I'm going to put the food processor stuff in the back here like that. I'm going to do this because I still have my Vitamix that I need to do. So I sometimes use my Vitamix, not often, typically more during the summertime, but we go through phases. So there will be times where I use it a lot and then times where we don't use it at all. So I definitely think I use my KitchenAid more. So I want to make sure that I have these easily accessible in there. So I think let's see is if this fits in the back. Maybe I can stack them together side by side. So I just am taking a moment to think about how I'm going to do this. Okay, I think I figured it out. So the way I have it now, my containers won't fit. And I really want to have those containers so that it's a place to just contain all the tools for those appliances. But since I don't use my Vitamix often, I think I'm going to take this out. And exchange it with my griddle. I use my griddle all the time, almost every weekend, if not more. And so I think I'm going to put it in here long ways if it will fit. I'm going to try it. But what I'm going to do is house these here, right here, just like that. So my food processor stuff is in the back, and then my KitchenAid tools are right here. And sorry for the noise. Okay, so this is the griddle. I use it all the time. Almost fits perfectly. There we go. Okay, so it takes a little bit of movement and angling, but it fits in there pretty nicely, I think. So I think I'm going to leave that here. And then what I can do is keep my waffle maker up front and house this in the back. Again, since I don't use it often, I don't think that it's going to be a problem. And if it does change, I think the great thing about this space is I can kind of move it around a little bit. So oh yeah, okay, that works. Okay, so I think that works out pretty good. I was able to fit everything in. Let me show you. Okay, so on the top, I have the KitchenAid tools right here, food processor tools in the back, and then my griddle is right here. Again, I use this all the time, and this is shoulder length, pretty much shoulder height. So it's not hard for me to grab and pull out, and it's pretty light. It's not heavy at all. And then it works out because I could put the little tools and plug in here so that it's not just flopping around. Down below, I just have the food processor and the KitchenAid. And then down here, I just have the KitchenAid stuff and the Vitamix, and then my waffle. This is great. Actually, this works out really well because I still do use this often. And this way it's not sitting on its side. I can just easily grab it and pull it out whenever I need it. And then for these cabinets up here, what I decided to do is I had a couple items that aren't used all the time, but I didn't want to get rid of. And so I decided to put them up here. And these are kind of more fun novelty type things. So like our snow cone maker and some s'mores. Like we don't typically just eat marshmallows randomly or graham crackers. Those are specifically for s'mores. So I went ahead and put these up here. And I think that worked out really well because in the past, this was shoved somewhere under one of my cabinets. And then these were up by the baking, but it's not baking. So that's why I decided to put those here. This right here is all of our nuts and granola for either snacking or our yogurt bowls. And then for this side of the cabinet, what I decided to do is have all of our bulk storage right here. So the overstock is up here and that works out really well. And then I have just some random to-go containers and such. And then our trash bags are right here, which is very convenient for us because our trash can's right down below. So while I'm waiting for my dishes to dry so that I can finish putting everything away, I kind of wanted to talk with you about my thought process of when I built up my blueprint and how I decided to put things where. So I tried to make it as efficient as possible, but also as convenient as possible for other members of my family. I wanted to elaborate a little bit more on my blueprint that I made. So I took 4 pieces of just normal size 8x11 paper and I taped them together and I made a blueprint of my kitchen, starting with this area right here, because to me, this area right here is the most important area for me because this is where I spend most of my time when I'm in the kitchen. So I prep here, I cook, my griddle, my waffle maker, my KitchenAid, everything goes right there. And so this is just really the most used space in my kitchen for me. So what I wanted to make sure was that the tools that I need to use for the things that I do here are easily accessible in this area or my pantry because that's closest to be able to carry over. Other things don't need to be here. So for example, over here in this area is where I have a lot of my drink items. So I thought about, our refrigerator, our ice makers right here, our waters right here, our coffee makers over here. So it only made sense to have cups, our coffee cups, our drinkable cups, our thermoses, anything that has to do with making a drink. So my husband's elements, liquid IVs, our teas, our coffee is all right here in this area. And so I have it set up right here. And then I decided to put the thermoses right here in this drawer because it's really wide. Before we had it up here on the very top shelf, and my mother-in-law, she's not short, but she's not tall, and she has trouble reaching up here. So I decided to go ahead and move it down here, and it works out really well. It actually forced me to declutter through a lot of the thermoses that we don't really use. And then the kids' stuff, all of it's down there, but it really looks nice. And it's separated with my daughter's stuff and my son's things. And then over on this side is where I have my coffee mugs so that I could just reach it and go here. But then I have my spices and access things up here. This area right here is where I typically end up putting my crock pot. And so what I decided to do was in this cabinet right here, I have all of my crock pots right here. So I have multiple crock pots, one large one that I use all the time, which is easily accessible right in the front. But then I have these really cool ones that plug together and make like a train of crock pots. And I use that for like parties or special holidays when I need to keep a lot of things warm. So that's tucked away because this part of this cabinet extends all the way back. And so it fit and it made sense. My Instapot also gets used here when I do use it. And I kept that right here. It was already right here, so it just made sense to keep it there. And what I ended up doing is moving all of my pot holders right here and my apron because, I mean, it's right next to the stove, so it just made sense. And before, it was across the way in my little island right there. So moving it over here, it just makes sense. It's right next to my stove, and then I can just put it away. And then there's a couple other items in here, like this cute junior chef's hat. My daughter wears this when she cooks with me. And then my apron goes here as well. And I just thought, again, that made sense. Over on this side, I did change up a few things. Mainly it had to do with my to-go containers and my plates. So prior to doing this, my plates and my bowls were all up here. And then I had stacked up some kitchen tools like holiday things and my cheese grater were up there. And my mother-in-law can't reach up there. And then what would happen was, because plates, and bowls take up a lot of space, I had to extend things back this way. And so what I decided to do was move my to-go containers right here because I think it's just easier to put away right here. They're not as heavy because that cabinet's a little bit wider, and put my plates, my bowls, my specialty plates go right here, and then my cheese grater's up there. And then if she needs me to put that away, I can definitely accommodate with putting that away for her. But it just works, and then my kids can reach it better right here. This cabinet is just set up better for bowls, plates, and things like that. So in the silverware drawer, I kept it the same, but I added my can opener right here because when I'm opening cans, this is the place that I normally do it. So it just made sense to have it here. In the past, I would have it over there. And so I'd walk over there, grab it, and then walk over here, do it, and then put it back over there. So just, again, it makes sense. It's more efficient to have it right here. So in this drawer, it doesn't look very pretty because I didn't think it makes sense to buy pretty organizers. We just throw the tools in here. But this is the, like our utensils, our cooking utensils. So that's right here. And it doesn't matter to me if they're stacked pretty or not. What matters to me is that it's close to where I utilize it, and this is. It was also close before, but I primarily stand right here and cook on this side of the oven. And then if I need to, I use the other burners. I don't know why. That's just the way that okay. So when I cook, I primarily cook on this side of the oven for whatever reason. I like to kind of prepare things right here and then cook right here. And then if I need to, I will use this side. Again, I don't know why. That's just my habits. And so to me, it just made sense to move our utensils right here. They were on the other side. So what was happening is I'm cooking right here. I've got my pan, and then I'd have to reach over here, open this drawer, and then come over here. So now they're right here. It's nice. I can grab it, put it on my little holder, and then there we go. We're good to go. So I really like that adjustment. My pots and pans are still right here. Again, I cook on this side of the stove, so it just makes sense to have them right here. And I didn't move anything right there. The one change that I did make, though, is under this cabinet, what I did was I have my air fryer right here because most of the time I air fry right here because I already have my crock pot and my Instapot over on this side. So I like doing it over here. Plus there's just a little bit more space on the countertop right here. And then I have my roaster, which I only use on the holidays. I put in the very back with my turkey tray and some other casserole dishes that I use. So that's what I do. And that was kind of my thought process behind it is I just try to think like logistic wise, what makes sense? Where do I commonly use my space and put my tools there? And I like it. I spend less time looking for things. Being able to declutter things really helped. So I hope that walking through that and walking through my thought process really helps you, because sometimes it's hard to figure out where things go. And you really have to think about, well, what makes sense for you? Because, one thing that always caught me up is that I love watching decluttering and organizing videos and tips and tricks, but I'm not one that wants to spend a lot of time or money on that stuff. I would if I could. That would be nice, but I can't. And so I need to just make do with what I have. But I think a lot of us have to do that, right? And so, how can we most make use of our space and time without having to spend money? And that was the whole goal here. So, in total, I probably only spent $15, and that was for the liners and 2 trays. And you'll see those trays for the kids' items. That's all I spent. I think that that's reasonable. It helped out. It was a good purchase. I didn't have to buy the liners, but I thought that they'd be a great idea. And they've been holding up really nicely. So I hope that that helps. Try to create a vision, and where to start, because it's important to know where to start at, because the hardest part sometimes is just getting started. So the thought process that I have for my